Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We're going to have a, well, I feel like every time we say this, it doesn't end up being any shorter than a regular meeting. So I'm just going to, it feels like it should be a brief meeting, but let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, so welcome. Is everyone seeing the screen large enough, or is that? Okay, there we go. Welcome to the Reservoir Hill Association General Membership Meeting. Today is July 11, 2023, and it's a bit after 7 p.m. Welcome, neighbors. We're going to have our meeting in the same structure as we usually do. We're going to start with our board reports, where we just give you a brief summary of what we've been up to for the last month. Then we're going to have a discussion about the DOT meeting that is occurring on Monday, July 17th at 6:30 p.m. and share a little bit of how that structure is going to work and talk a little bit about how we want to show up as RHA members. And then we're going to leave the meeting with announcements. And as always, anyone is open to share any announcements they would like to share with the group. And before we jump into board reports, if you don't mind, if you haven't already, please do change your name to reflect your first and last name, because that's how we keep track of who's attended the meetings and who hasn't. And without further ado, we'll continue. So I only have a couple of announcements this month. So we have a DOT meeting, which is a meeting that Arlen and quite a few other people have been really working to organize for quite some time, with the idea that the neighborhood needs to fully understand all the plans for how traffic, parking, and any kind of safety precautions are operating, or the plans for those safety precautions are going to be planned by the city. So on Monday, the entire neighborhood is invited to sit down with DOT and get a better understanding of when and how is Druid Park Lake Drive going to be planned out, any kind of big projects that are happening in the neighborhood with timelines, budgets, and then allow us to ask questions about how this all is going to work together, with the goal that we all leave that meeting with a better understanding of how our roadways will be cared for over the next 5 years or so. So it's a really important meeting. It will be hybrid, but we really encourage people to attend in person, because those online won't be able to, they'll be using a Q&A function. And if you've ever attended a meeting planned by the city, this is being hosted by DOT and Councilman Torrance's office. Oftentimes the Q&As, they're not going to respond directly to your question. They're going to respond to maybe 2 or 3 questions at the same time, and sometimes it's not exactly what you're asking. So if you have like a real burning question or really important idea, I suggest you attend in person, especially because we know that the DOT folks really like breakout groups, and those are really hard to manage in a hybrid setting. So my advice is, if you really want to be involved and you really want to see it, I think the best way to attend is in person. And that is going to be taking place at Dorothy I. Height Elementary School. We also want to share that this August, we are taking a summer break. We won't have a general membership meeting. We won't be holding committee meetings. And our next meeting is going to be in September. And for those of us who don't really recall what happens in September, September is actually the time where people can put themselves forward for joining the board and being elected into the board. So we'll be going over that in September, but if you have any interest in joining our board, please do reach out, because we want to get you prepared for that election cycle. And the elections generally occur in November for a January start. and our calendar goes from January to December. Okay, Jerika.
I don't have anything other than I did see where was it, the West Avenue quarter had just received $11 million from the governor and for the, I guess, the renovation of that whole quarter. So those are the meetings I sometimes attend when I sometimes get invited. But I see they moving forward and just so it's gonna be awesome. I guess for the for the neighborhood. Also, even though this doesn't pertain to our neighborhood, but 4 young ladies from New Song Academy won $13,000 to open up a Be More Fresh bus to bring fresh fruits and vegetables to the Sandtown, Winchester area. So we need to, I guess, say kudos to these young adults, 8th graders. And yeah, so I was watching that as well. But that's all I have.
Thank you, Jerika. And Jerika, I know that you attended fish fry, and you know, Jerika is very busy. Everyone does a lot that they don't mention on this, but I just, yeah.
Oh yeah, we had Randy finally had his fish fry on July the 1st, and I know we had at least Janae, how many? At least several hundred people that showed up. Food was plenty, atmosphere was awesome, and I just commend our neighborhood because I think like the next day is when the Brooklyn shooting happened. Again, large gathering, and I just kept reflecting back that that something like that could possibly have happened to us. But again, we have a tight-knit family, tight-knit neighborhood. Everybody it was just awesome. It was, the music, for the first time, Randy had a jazz band there. The food, like I said, was plentiful. I didn't get to see a lot because I was serving from the time we got there until it ended. It was supposed to be several shifts, but I think some people didn't show up. So we just stayed there and make sure everybody got something to eat. But I think everybody just had a phenomenal time. We had some gourmet cupcakes. I would just want to acknowledge that because they were awesome. So it was just a great, great time and a great fellowship and just a great time we had.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll continue on with Chet.
Hey, everybody. I just, here's our July 2023 report. I finally got together kind of a real treasurer's report here. Our beginning of year balance was 1702.70. So far this year, we've had $894.90 in expenses. Our income is $8,400.91. And our total balance right now is $92,0871. And we have about, I believe there's a $2,500 check that's not included here that is in the PO box or has been retrieved from the PO box. Keandra is nodding. So you can add $2,500 to the July income. So dues are $12 a year. Please pay your dues either by check that can be dropped off at 720 Reservoir Street, or you can do it through the QR code there or our RHA donate links there on the screen. If there's no questions, I cede the floor.
Thank you, Chet. I don't see any questions. If you do have questions about any of the report, feel free to either raise your hand or just put your question in the chat, and I'll continue on. Oops, I think I skipped you. Lord. Okay, sorry guys, just give me 1 second. I haven't figured out how to do this correctly. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay, let's see. Oh, I wasn't so far off. Okay, Brandy is not here today, so I will share her big announcements. So Brandy was taking a course with the Department of Planning, I believe. So she had kind of paused a lot that was going on with the historic committee. So they will reconvene on Wednesday, September 13th after our brief summer break. If you are interested in joining the committee, definitely reach out to Brandy. She's always looking for input and engagement. A couple of projects that she's working on is learning more about the Abundant Housing Act, preparing for the DOT meeting coming up on Monday, a monument survey. So looking at all of the different historic monuments around the neighborhood. Maybe you've passed by, you know, there's fountains that are currently being maintained by neighbors. There are archways, you know, the famous archway going on Madison Avenue, but there's tons of things that you might not realize are historic features of the neighborhood. They're either historically protected on the federal level or on the local level or not at all. And so Brandy is working in collaboration with the committee, of course, on surveying all of those monuments. Also, they're working on creating a chat toolkit, because if anyone is on the call and they live in a historic district, we've all been really confused about how to make sure that we're doing things correctly. And even with the best intentions, the process can be really frustrating. So one of Brandy's goals is to really think through how to get things approved through CHAP and actually do it the right way and the least frustrating way. And so creating a toolkit would be helpful for all neighbors, especially as we're trying to encourage people to consider a neighborhood-wide district, which is the final thing, discussing that with neighbors and really helping to, you know, build some buy-in about that. And so people understand why it would even be helpful to have one and what are the benefits of having a neighborhood-wide historic district. Okay, Rolando. Rolando might be busy because I know he's literally outside going through the proper CHAP steps to repair his home on Utah. So I will give his updates quickly. He has not, oh, is that you?
I'm here.
Okay.
I have nothing to report. Sorry about that.
Oh, I have a couple things from you, Rolando, on the slide. Just that we haven't heard yet from the Western District yet, because we've transferred over from the Central to the Western District now. And Rolando this week will follow up again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I will move on. Lauren Mohammed.
Good evening. Good
Hello.
evening. Okay.
Yes, you can go
Can
ahead.
you
We can all
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Good evening. I can't read my own slide.
Oh, it says updates about the pocket park.
Okay, yes. So I've been speaking with Brittany, and I don't remember her last name, but she's been secretary for RHA, and she's been given charge over Pocket Park off of Lenox Street. And she wants RHA to be a fiscal sponsor. She said she started doing investigative work on how she can get certain things done. They were trying to identify the water source and different things. And someone told her, well, RHI is over this. And she said, I never agreed to anything with RHI. She does not want RHI involved at all. She wants, and Brittany, I invite her to the call. Maybe she's on the call and she can give us a better understanding of what the park, how the park serves the community. But it's a very neat space. It's not new, but it's just gone under. So now she's getting things done gradually, but she wants RHA to be like the fiscal sponsor so she can get things done in that area. And the last cleanup was very successful. I got duped, however, because I thought it was 7:30. I got there at 7:30, waited until 8:15 and thought maybe I got the wrong day, only to find out I missed the home baked goods and everything. I was an hour early.
I'm so
the
sorry.
The next cleanup will be October the 10th. And the location is to be determined. as we would like to be a lot more intentional when we go out and be where we're needed rather than just be anywhere. So yeah, that's the plan for that. And I did on Saturday represent us very well, I should say, in 99-degree heat. UNEMA had a event at the Madison Park. And it was really in competition with the Caribbean Festival, but they were just grabbing people up that were walking to the festival and invite them in to the park. And I spoke after Dave and Claudia. However, Claudia wasn't there, it was just him. And I did the whole presentation on who destroyed the Chesapeake Bay. And I just called it a conservation conversation on the Chesapeake Bay, and they loved it. So kudos to what we do, guys, having conversations about conservation in our community. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Yes, and you know, as always, what Lauren is saying is about the next cleanup is if you are interested in hosting the cleanup at your on your block, or if there is a block that you think needs extra love, that you think neighbors around there would really appreciate some love and attention in that area, that's where we want to go. So we don't want to, you know, just reiterating what Lauren has already said, we don't want to just be this organization that shows up and just does stuff that is actually not wanted, needed, or desired. So if you live on a block, you're like, hey, I would love, you know, people to spend a couple hours here, clean up. And another level that Lauren wants to add to these cleanup green ups really is bringing in some native plants, bringing in herbs within some of these tree boxes, making sure that the tree boxes are properly maintained. So the earlier you, I know October seems really far away, but the earlier that we plan it and are able to think through all of these things, and Lauren being a master gardener, you know, and really understanding Baywise and all of these things that are really occurring when you're doing a cleanup is really protecting the waterways and encouraging native birds and native insects back into our neighborhood, which enriches everyone's air. I could go on, but I mean, Lauren definitely can go on and on about this, but the importance of doing this work. But the earlier you let us know that you might want some attention on your block, the sooner we can come up with a plan that's specific to your block and your needs. So please do reach out to Lauren at the Green Committee so that we can start those meetings and planning with you so that on October 10th, we have a good showing. We always bake goods. Last time, what did we have? We had like a lemon poppy seed cake that was really popular. We always have coffee and tea, and it's a really fun time to meet your neighbors and to learn about and learn from Lauren and gain the knowledge about what a cleanup is. And Rolando and Janae and everyone, you know, contributes to making sure we have enough tools and we have our reflective vests. And it's really, I think, honestly, over this last year has been some of my favorite events is attending those cleanups. So we really want to encourage everyone to come out. So that's it for the Green Committee. I'll keep going. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Janae.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to circle back on a few things, kind of take a step back. June and July have been just like a whirlwind, but I definitely wanted to take a step back and just talk a little bit more about the Garden and Home Tour and what an amazing event that was. It was also an opportunity for us to get a chance to interact with different neighbors, whether they be neighbors within Reservoir Hill or neighbors of other neighborhoods within Baltimore City, or even outside of just Maryland in general. I wanted to take a moment to again thank the developers of Madison Park North for their support and also Blank Slate, Allstate, Live Baltimore, Bike More, Kima's Creations, the Cujo family, and just many, many, many others, including our own Rolando and Melda. And then I also wanted to circle back and thank the tour stops and volunteers. So if I haven't had a chance to say thank you, just again, a huge thank you. And I say all this to kind of springboard into what next for the different tours and the different opportunities to spotlight our neighborhood. So we're, and apologies for my spelling, but we're thinking about a poinsettia tour for this year. And we definitely want to take the lessons that we learned from the Garden and Home Tour 2023 and advance them into 2024. It is not too early to start planning. So we want to just make sure that we extend the invitation and get people while they are still riding the high from all of the wonderful experiences and stories that we heard from this year's tour. So again, thank you to everyone that contributed towards it. It was absolutely a team effort, and we want to continue that momentum and bring it forward and, you know, again, continue to show people the amazing neighborhood that we live in. So for my next slide, everyone has, Hencebar has kind of touched on the fish fry. I do have just a few pictures. I went to the fish fry for the first time last year, and it was amazing last year, and this one was even more amazing. I just have to thank Randy, who is one of the steering committee members for RHA, for all of his effort around just networking, just bringing the neighborhood together in a very positive light and giving us an opportunity to eat good food, as well as fellowship with one another and learn about different things in the neighborhood. It's an amazing cute little spot that is kind of tucked away. And so it was very perfect for what we were trying to do. We had the opportunity to have what we called a commitment poster where people came by, because we do a lot of great things, but a lot of times it's just a very small group of people that are shouldering. And we have so many neighbors that have, passion and talent. And so we want to capitalize on that and harness that. So whatever we do moving forward as an all volunteer organization, we kind of spread the love and continue to, just network and showcase our neighborhood. And so we had several people that came by and they committed to various committees, activities, events. And so I'm going to be sharing that with the different chairpersons so that we can start reaching out and pulling those people in. And, again, adding more numbers to our different committees so that we can spread the work around. So we have our annual November meeting and more to follow on that. Just kind of wanted to put that on people's radar. And then, more to follow on the poinsettia tour. And again, I already touched on the 2024 planning. One of the things that I have learned with having chaired a few of the events that we have undertaken is start early and pull people in. So I would like to put a plug in for people to join the events team. We need committee members, and our next meeting is going to be July 27th at 7 p.m. For more information, please take a look at the amazing newsletter that our marketing chair puts together and sends out on a monthly basis. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me at events@reservoirhillassociation.org. Thank you again. So I'm going to begin with a thank you, and I'm going to end with a thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Janae. And for those of us who've never, because I've never experienced the poinsettia tour, I think how we put a spin on it for this year is probably up for grabs, but I know that, or what I've heard is from years past, it's a Christmas it's around the Christmas holiday season. So it's a winter celebration. And it's a time for people to not only do maybe a lights display on their home, but also show off some amazing indoor displays. So I just wanted to share that with people if you're wondering what that is and whether or not you'd want to get involved. I think over the years, I moved to the neighborhood in 2017. And since I've been here, which isn't very long compared to a lot of folks, I've noticed an incredible increase in the amount of holiday displays, whether it be around the, winter holiday season or in the fall season when, Halloween and trick-or-treating has become a real thing in our neighborhood. And I think this is just like an additional opportunity to bring joy into our neighborhood, get people to come out and meet each other. And then it's also, I've noticed, the word is out on the street that Reservoir Hill is a place to go for Halloween. Reservoir Hill is a place to go for family events and excitement. And so I hope that this tour is an additional way that we can bring joy to our own lives in our neighborhood and not feel like we have to go far away to enjoy the season. So I look forward to hearing more, Janae, what comes out of the events meetings, and please do consider joining the events team. Daryl.
Good evening, everybody. Durham Claim, Marketing Chair. First on my list is a Post newsletter that I started in late June and published at 10 o'clock this morning because I'm a crazy person. But and in my newsletter, I put Brandy's meeting in August when none of us are meeting in August. So forgive the slight mistakes there. 2 o'clock in the morning working quietly is a new thing for me. In the area, in the rest of my list, I've completed all the messaging for the standing committees for the rest of the month. Completed messaging for our partners and fellow local organizations. I have all those scheduled for one time, and then I have to schedule them again by hand closer to the date. I have messaging out and going out for our August hiatus. I would like to say that I attended the major funding initiative that Governor Wes Moore gave last month, along with everyone else there. The progenitors of the West North Avenue Development Authority, Senator Antonio Hayes and Delegate Marlon Ampry were the force behind the idea behind a West North Avenue Development Authority that would be able to work with several different types of entities, public, private, corporate, government, etc. And the announcement was for $11.4 million for the West North Avenue Development Authority. Previously, they had only received like $500,000. So everyone out there that day
Did Daryl freeze for everyone or just me? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll continue on, and then when he joins us, he can finish his announcement. So go ahead, Arlen.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's see. There was a Upper Utah Madison Neighborhood Association meeting at Betham in person on June 21st. And it was to discuss the pedestrian pathway along Madison and Utah Place. We had a really good turnout. A lot of people came out in opposition in the beginning, but at the end there was a lot of, I think, constructive conversation regarding how can we resolve certain issues, particularly pertaining to the ADA issues, handicap parking, things of that nature. Hopefully, the DOT will get back with us in a more timely manner than they did during that meeting, because we really didn't have an idea of how they wanted to conduct the meeting. And as Keandra stated, they wanted to do like breakout sections. And that kind of was, we weren't really set up for that, but we managed to get through it. I think we had close to 40 people to come out, so that was a really good thing. And so, as you may already know, the next meeting is going to be July the 17th at Dorothy Height. Hopefully we'll get some more constructive information going there as well. We got an update on the Madison Park North construction update. They're saying by October of 2023, the first model homes will be up. It's almost here. I see they do have the utility lines down. We'll see what happens with that. I reached out to the developers of 2001 Park Avenue. Most of the board members should have received that email. I included everyone on that. But apparently the issue with that right now is that the city has had a change of management. And so everything is on hold, waiting until the city gets a new head of that department and works things out. I'm hoping that this is not one of those things where it gets delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and then some other entity comes in and just sits there for a long time. That seems to be the case with so many of the projects that we spend quite a bit of time and effort on trying to get some clarity on. This is not a disparagement against our current representatives. The mayor is a freshman, our councilman is a freshman. You know, a lot of the issues that are holding the city back are systemic and they date back for decades. So I don't expect everything to be resolved in a year or two, but hopefully we push forward with what needs to be done. Let's see. I did speak with, trying to remember the meetings now. There was a meeting where we had Thibault Mannequin and Alex Aaron over to the Planning and Development Committee meeting, and they discussed the plans for Citizen Street. Apparently that project is moving forward. Part of that will be the inclusion of a possible rail stop there. So that adds even more importance to the DOT meeting, because as you can imagine, if there's a stop there and the development on the other side of 83, that means there's going to be a lot more traffic coming in and out of the area as well. I live here just like you. So, and we're hoping that we can get some information from the DOT and from the city, and hopefully they can come forth and tell us exactly what the plans are. Councilman Torrance's office has been really forthright in trying to get things together and trying to keep us in the loop. But I think there are some gaps there that's not at anyone's fault. It's just a matter of getting all the different entities together so that everything makes sense. Let's see what else here. One thing I wanted to bring up, the issues of dumpsters in the neighborhood, even though this isn't really a planning and development issue. I did talk to Councilman Torrance. Apparently, Reservoir Hill has been getting 24 dumpsters a year, and the maximum per neighborhood in the city is 4 per year. And so someone in the who was dealing with scheduling got into a lot of trouble because of that. I did talk to Torrance because 4 for a neighborhood this size with this many residents just doesn't make sense. So he said he would see maybe like getting that bumped up to like 7 or 8, but 24 a year just seems really excessive, especially for a community that's really has itself together. I mean, I don't think we have that much trash in the neighborhood. And if we have that much trash in the neighborhood, then there's something wrong with what we're doing. That's just my opinion. Everyone has their own opinion. Let's see. David Bramble has gotten possession of the property along Druid Park Lake Drive. That's the one that had the basketball court and was given to what was his name? David Reister, I believe that's his name. But he has gotten possession of that property again. The development at the 700 block of Druid Park Lake Drive They gave us the huge design schematics. Y'all remember this? They no longer own the property. It's moved on to someone else, another entity. I don't know who owns it now. But apparently this is another one of those shuffles. Things happen. We're just trying to keep abreast of what's going on. Let's see what else. I still have questions about the whole process for the BMZA. They are still doing in-person meetings only, while all the other departments are doing hybrid. I'm not going to say that. Let's just say that it seems more logical that if you really want the involvement of the community, you would make it more advantageous for the community to attend those meetings. And that does not seem to be the case. And one other issue I want to bring up, and this, I believe his name was Eric Johnson. I talked to him about 2026 Linden. And as far as getting a continual, when you put in your submissions to 311, they always give you this issue will be resolved by this date. It's either 10 days, 14 days, or whatever the time limit is. If you keep submitting 311s inside of the time frame, all those are considered one. So it's kind of a waste of your time to do so. But make sure you do it on the day after it should have been completed if it's not completed, and then continue to keep those records going.
Thank you for that update. I did get a notification back on that property. They basically said they can't do anything because it's in the state, and they sent the notification to the owner. So that's the notification they give me now.
Okay. I would encourage you to just keep on sending it like we discussed. Keep
Yes,
it database, and then we'll take it from there. And
will do. Thank you.
And keep me in the loop as well. Okay.
Will do.
And I believe that's about all that I have.
Thank you, Arlen. I see a hand raise. Jerika, your hand is up.
Yeah, Alan, the property on Jewett Lake Drive, you said David Bramble does have the property, or he does not have it?
He does. That's
Right,
a-
so he got it from Dennis Ryder. Okay, I just
Yes.
want to make sure that, yes, okay,
It's Dennis, that's right.
yes, okay. I just want to make sure he does have it. Okay, thank you.
And Arlen, the property on Druid Park Lake Drive that you said no longer is owned by the original presenter, was that the one that was like a 12-unit property? Like a mid-sized property? Not the very large, not the one that's supposed to be built on an open lot. We're talking about,
No,
One
not
of
the
the
open
older-
lot. Not the
Okay.
open lot.
okay. I just
This is,
want,
right there in the corner.
okay, yep,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Is that the one on the corner of Park Avenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm. Yes.
Okay, and I also wanted to check, I just realized we had invited Alan Pressman to present today, but I don't see him on the call, and I just want to make sure that he did not present to you at the PDC meeting. By any
He
chance?
did not. I haven't had any communication with him because my understanding was that he would be presenting today.
That's right. Okay. So I think we talked about this last month as well. Alan Pressman is one of the representatives for the mansion. I think they call it the oh my gosh, the Lion, we call it the Lion House. It's the one that's right across the street on Utah Place from the synagogue. And he was supposed to present tonight on their plans because they were seeking a letter of support. But I don't see him here, and he did receive the invite and the meeting information. So I'm not really sure if he's planning to the Emerson Mansion. Thank you. I'm not sure if he will be showing up later to the meeting, but just want to share that publicly that we did invite him. We did share the meeting information, and we hope that he will present to us. And again, we cannot give letters of support unless the developer presents to our membership at the very least. That's like one of the first steps. So thank you, Arlen, for all your
One other thing, there was an issue with a property in the area that was distressed, and there's concern about its safety. I have connected the owner with Jubilee and with Councilman Torrance. and they are exploring avenues.
That's
I don't
awesome.
want to give, I don't want to give anyone's information out, but yeah, those, hopefully something will come forth as a result of that as well.
That's great news. And again, I think we said this last meeting, but just to reiterate, if you notice that a building is in distress, or you know someone who's living in a home that's in distress, there are resources. We can't make any guarantees for how, they can get repaired, but our organization isn't just looking to penalize people. In fact, we aren't penalizing people. Like, that's just not something we do. But we would like to put people in touch with agencies and organizations that do work to help people make sure that their homes stay in good repair, because, that's an extremely stressful thing to put, to have on your plate, along with just trying to make ends meet and live your life in this city. Also, having a historic home that is falling apart is really stressful. So please don't take on that stress by yourself. Arlen, Rolando, and Brandy, all the folks really focused on development and historic preservation, have been putting a lot of energy in developing relationships with agencies in the city. So let's use that work that they have done in a positive way to make sure and ensure that the buildings in our neighborhood are safe to live in for the people that we call our neighbors. So we'll keep moving on. Thank you, Arlen. Okay, so I just wanted to set aside some time to talk a little bit about our DOT meeting that's occurring this Monday, because I think it would be helpful for all of us to be pretty prepared for that meeting. It's a really important one. I'm going to stop share so that we can see each other on the call. I thought it could be helpful just to run through the general format of the meeting, and then also think about ways for those of us who might not be able to attend on Monday, because I know everyone has a different schedule, how we can make sure that the most pressing things are shared with DOT and the councilman's office. Arlen, I know that you were on that larger call, and I know this is part of a conversation that most of our board has had together, but I wanted to share some of the things that we shared with Councilman Torrance's office in preparing for this meeting. And then also for those of you who cannot attend, I thought it would be a good moment to hear a little bit more about what you want to make sure is said at that meeting. As representatives of you, we want to be prepared and make sure that we're saying all of the things that need to be said during that meeting. So I will go ahead and just share the initial pieces of feedback that we gave, and then what I understand to be the general format of the meeting. And then I would love to hear from you all. And just as a time check, it's 7:47. And I think if we do this well, we can end on time at 8 p.m., which I think would be ideal for everyone. So without further ado, I'm going to quickly go through what we shared. So overall, what we said to Councilman Torrance's office is that neighbors are really frustrated with the type of communication that we're receiving from the city about developments. And what we need is hard facts in writing. So we would love to see a map that really plots out all of the planned construction for DOT. We would love to see info sheets on all of the really big projects. So big projects, by big projects, we mean the Druid Park Lake Drive construction that's slotted. And when we see these info sheets, we want to know when construction is supposed to start. When is it supposed to break ground? When is it supposed to be done? How much money does it cost to do it? How much of that funding is already funded? So how much has been okayed and how much of the budget needs to be found, right? So we can understand how close they are to actually executing it. So I checked in with Javis today, and he said they felt really good about providing info sheets for all the large projects in our neighborhood, and that should be something that will be provided to us at the meeting. In addition, we wanted them to create a flyer so that we can distribute to all of our neighbors We're still waiting on that because it has to go through all sorts of approvals, and they just got the meeting link tonight or last night or something like that. So they haven't made the flyer, but we hope to get it soon. So please do look out for that. But we can, I think, share the meeting link. So actually I should go into my email and just give that to you all right now before I forget. But I will make sure that it gets into the chat by the end of this conversation. And then the other thing that we wanted to flag to them is that the way that the presentation was run for the bike lane, or sorry, we're actually calling it a multimodal, I think a multimodal track or something like that, because they really want to get across that the track is not just for bicycles. It's actually for people who are walking, people with strollers, people in wheelchairs, folks that will be, you know, running. A lot of people run down the bike lane, or what we think of as a bike lane. So really expanding the way that we're thinking about it. That's definitely going to be a project that has an info sheet with it. I can't think of the other couple of ones. I think we asked for changes to Madison Park, because Madison Park will be opening streets that haven't been open for a really long time. And so we wanted to understand how that's going to work and how that's going to impact parking. So those are like the things that we covered during that meeting. And hopefully we'll have really clear written out information for everyone to have. And of course, for those of you who won't be at that meeting, we will collect those resources, whatever is provided to us, and make sure it gets to you. So that's just like the resources. In addition to that, sorry, hold on. In addition to that, we gave feedback about the logistics of the meeting itself, and really shared that if there was going to be breakout sessions, that they have to plan for that, and that the audio has to be really strong so people can hear, because there were some issues with that in our last hybrid meeting. We're all learning how to do hybrid well. So we're trying to make sure that's a really good experience for everybody in the call. And I think what we know is that anyone attending online will only be able to type in the chat. We won't hear you speaking. So just keep that in mind, that it will be more of a Q&A format rather than a town hall format, if that makes sense. For the people that are in the room, though, they will be able to ask live questions. Is there anything else, Arlen, that we should share with the group?
I think you pretty much covered what we know.
So I want to reiterate, this is not our meeting. This is the councilman's meeting and DOT's meeting. We are merely giving them suggestions for how the meeting can go well. It's at Dorothy Height Elementary School. It's at 6:30 p.m. So try to be there on time. This is not a meeting where decisions are going to be made necessarily. Oh, and I guess that's another piece that we should share, is that we got more insight about how DOT is making decisions. We learned that if you were like in earlier meetings with the DOT where they promised things like, oh yeah, we're going to put a traffic light here, or there's a stop sign going up here, or there's a, you know, a speed bump. Take that with a grain of salt, because the way they're making decisions about funding those types of things have changed in a big way. And they're thinking of it more as they're thinking of it as in terms of equity. So they're really looking at neighborhoods that haven't gotten a lot of resources for many years and prioritizing urgent matters in different neighborhoods. So because our neighborhood has gotten relatively more attention than others, some of those things might be delayed in a way that we weren't told initially. And as Arlen hinted to, there's lots of changes in leadership in the city. And so the head of DOT is no longer the head of DOT, like as of, I guess, the head that was in 2021 or 22 is no longer the head. And so their policies are changing, the way they prioritize projects have changed. So really think of this meeting as a reset, a restart. So what we really want to go into the meeting really understanding is what are the things that people have suggested, and making sure that we come to the table. If you have, for instance, submitted an SR through 301, or there's an issue in your particular block, please come to the meeting with that information, because I think even though that doesn't mean it will be executed, I think it's a good time to have a shared understanding of what we all know about what needs to happen in the neighborhood. So I would look at it as an information session, an information sharing session for future action. So that's what kind of meeting this is. So I will stop. And then to hear a little bit, if you guys have any questions. Oh, Jason asks, can the link be posted here? Yeah, I can do that really quick. Let's see. And while I find that, feel free to raise your hand and or just unmute and ask, or put your questions in the chat. No questions?
Oh, yes. Hi, this is Jason again. I just wanted to follow up. My wife and I, we live off of Madison, just south of Whitelock, and there is a park across the street from our house. Is there any type of development plan or redevelopment plan for the park across the street? Because sometimes we have some unwanted activity over there, shall we say. And also the park looks just kind of strange. Maybe like kids painted it or something like that. So I'm just curious if there's any plans for that park.
Yes, I know that there are plans for that park, and that is actually under the purview of Upper Utah Madison Neighborhood Association's taking on that work. So Arlen, I don't know if you wanted to share what you know about that.
Okay, yeah, this past Saturday, there was actually an event in the park regarding those proposed changes. And I want to thank Lauren. I failed to thank you, Lauren, for your presentation, for being there. The proposal for that park, we actually have the schematics. We're in partnership with Nature Sacred with getting a total redesign of the park. The city has us on the budget agenda, and we have a fluid confirmation of a possibility of them funding the hardscape, which amounts to about $175,000 worth of work. And then Nature Sacred will assist us in coming with the additional funds. Nature Sacred has come up with the designs and the architect, the landscape architect who has come up to design that, and Lauren has been in partnership with that person. The event that we had this past Saturday, yeah, you may have not seen it because there was a lot of activity and maybe it was confused with what was going on in the larger Druid Hill Park, but the naming of the park was one of the things that we were discussing, and we had a vote on that. Michael Cross Barnett, the vice president of Upper Utah Madison, was actually the one who came up with the funding and actually put the event in the park together. So yeah, hopefully, I'm saying by 2025, it's halfway into 2023, actually a little bit more than that. With the budget going forth in 2024, and if the city comes through with their part of it, Nature Sacred is ready to move forward with their part, and Upper Utah Madison has funds to go through with our part. So everything is in place. The things that you see there were initially done by another neighbor, Rebecca Yenawan. She had a group called Kids on the Hill, and they're the ones who came in and did the work that you see there. And it's kind of rough right now, but the kids, they really did a good job at the time. But I think that the way it was done, well, over time, everything falls apart, right? So it's time to just to get that totally redeveloped. And I hope to see you, Jason.
Oh,
Thank
okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I did hear about the meeting, but this past Saturday, but I couldn't attend because I had my younger cousins with me. But I appreciate the update nonetheless.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Arlen. And I would love to hear I wonder, Teresa, because we're heading towards 8 p.m. I know there's a lot of people are eager to hear about the street closures and wrap their heads around, actually not closures, the street openings that's going to happen because of Reservoir. We have to get in the habit of stop calling it Madison Park North. It's now Reservoir Square. So we're gonna have to
still
adjust
say
that new
Madison
title.
Park North. It's fine.
We're gonna have to shift our minds because it is a new development and we're excited about it being a new development.
Sure.
Will you be able to be at the meeting on Monday or not? Do you know if you're invited to that? It's on Monday, July 17th at 6:30 p.m.
I might be able to come.
And
I need to double check.
Yeah, and even if you can't, I think it would be helpful to even have something written out about the changes to the streets, because I think it's just so, from the perspective of a neighbor, of people living here, it's that there's so many changes going on right now that it's really hard to wrap your head around what this means. So I don't know if you've already created a resource or there's a website that people can go to really understand what's being proposed for those street openings and changes, which in my opinion is really exciting. But for some people, they're nervous about changes to parking. And then, some streets that are very quiet could suddenly get a lot more traffic than they're used to. So I think people kind of getting an understanding of how those changes might affect them is a goal of that meeting on Monday. So if you're not able to attend, or even if you are, if you can bring some of those resources, or we can get them from you by email, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I know at one point I have the full developer agreement plans, which shows in detail the changes to the street grid. They're not terribly user friendly, but I know we have an illustrative plan. I just need to double check that it's up to date. So I'll pull together what resources we have that can easily show what the changes are. And even if I can't make that meeting, I'll share them with the group.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No
awesome.
problem.
Thank you for coming to the meeting tonight as well. Yeah. It's wonderful to have you on the call. And honestly, I think, maybe for September, Teresa, it would be wonderful to invite you to maybe do an update on it. Especially since we're thinking that there will be a full construction of a building in October. I'm sure people will be really excited to hear about any other updates with the development at that point, I can imagine, or maybe in October, it would be a good time to get an update. So
yeah, I think, either September or October, hoping that things will be starting to shape up to a point where we can, I guess, be a little more or less circumspect and more definitive about what the second phase will hold and the timing and all that.
Wonderful. Okay, awesome. So we'll close out our discussion for the DOT meeting and move on to closing our meeting. This is the time, if anyone has any announcements for the group, we'll open up the floor.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Most of what I was going to announce is actually wonderfully included in the RHA newsletter, which I very much appreciate. But just to quickly plug the fact that St. Francis is holding a community green up this Saturday on the 15th. I believe it starts at 11 and it's going to go till 2. Yes, 2. And if you're interested, you could just shoot us an email at volunteer@stfranciscenter.org. Besides that, the next big thing is ResFest, which is coming up on Saturday, August 5th. So we're gonna have music and resource vendors and food trucks and giveaways. It should be a really fun time, and it's always free and rain or shine. So just wanted to put that on everyone's radar, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, Lily. Awesome. Anyone else have any more announcements or things they want to share with the group? Rolando.
I just want to let Chet know there's an additional $200 to have to his to his treasure to the account.
Thank you, Rolando. That's
Thank you.
exciting. Thank you. Any more announcements? Okay, wonderful. So as you know, just repeating it, just for anyone that might have joined late, we are not meeting in August. Our August meeting is canceled because we are on a summer break, and we will be back in September on the second Tuesday. We're going to start back up on the second Tuesdays. If you have anything to share, we will still be checking emails, and if there's something urgent that you need to get in contact with us, you can still email us. We might be a little delayed on responding to them, but we'll be doing that. We just won't be having meetings to give ourselves a break and be able to travel, see family, and enjoy what's left of the summer. I hope that everyone can stay cool and hydrated as these temperatures are going up. And I don't know if anyone on the call is into astronomical events, but I don't know if that's the right word. But you'll be able to see the northern lights apparently over the next few days. So if you are really interested in seeing that phenomenon, because there are extreme solar flares between now and Thursday, you can go out into a park and actually see the northern lights in Maryland. And I think that's a pretty rare event. So if you want to nerd out and check that out, you can read up on it. I'm really excited, as you can tell, because it's one of those things I really want to see. I don't know how easy it will be, but I'm excited about it. And I don't think, Rolando, did you have something else before we close out? Or is that an old hand?
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to.
Old hand. Okay, no problem. So without further ado, have a wonderful night, and we will see you again in September. Good night. The meeting is adjourned.